Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're once again going to be talking about that major upcoming winter storm. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting Patreon page, where we just made a post about a potential southern slider. You can see it on screen now. We made a post about that. We uploaded some snowfall totals according to the models and things like that. You're going to want to check that out in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what do you think is the maximum amount of snowfall anyone sees from this upcoming snowstorm is, the one we're talking about in this video? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into things. First things first, we're going to be working with our European model. You can see not a lot is going on yet by January 23rd at about 7 a.m. That's going to be Saturday. Let's just take this to about 7 a.m. there on Sunday, the very next day. And as you can see, we do begin to see some snowfall developing for the upper Midwest, alongside some freezing rain down there for Missouri and Illinois. Let's go ahead and move on and take this to about, I would say, 7 p.m. there on Sunday. And as you can see, everything kind of just lightens up. And this is when we transfer from the first storm to the second storm. As we can see, by about 1 p.m. on Monday, that second storm really builds in there for the Great Plains. We're seeing moderate to heavy snowfall for Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois. We also see some freezing rain on the very southern extent of those states as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move on and move forward with this storm all the way to the East Coast, where now it's trended a little bit further north, like I said yesterday would happen. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment. All right, now here we are taking a look at about, I would say, 11 p.m. there on Monday night. So as you can see, the freezing rain snow line actually moves further south as that strong low pressure system begins to move further north. This is because we're getting that colder air for the nighttime lows. We're seeing some snowfall still for Iowa, Illinois, including Chicago, southern Wisconsin there, and that extends all the way across the lake there towards Michigan as well. We see plenty of freezing rain going on for Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, some of the mid-Atlantic states as well, like West Virginia, Maryland, D.C., the Delmarva, and we're starting to see some snowfall for eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey as well. Let's just take this to about 7 a.m. on Tuesday. And as you can see, we see most of that snowfall has shifted towards the northeast now by this point. We do see some lingering there for Michigan, but for the most part, that Great Lakes storm is coming to an end as it transfers over to the northeast. And we do see upstate New York, we see Pennsylvania, we see northern New Jersey, including New York City as well, and Long Island, getting in on some of that heavier snowfall. Let's just zoom in, take a look at about 1 p.m. there on Tuesday. As you can see, that snowfall is around in a moderate to heavy form there. And then by the time we reach about 2 a.m. there on Wednesday, January 27th, we're seeing things come to an end, but southern New England is involved now, which yesterday it didn't look like would be the case, but I was persistent that it probably would come back north, and this model sure has come back north, as you've seen. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and do the same exact thing for the GFS and then the Canadian model as well. Just take a look at each of these opinions. And then we're going to move towards talking about severe weather, freezing rain, and total snowfall towards the end of this video. Now here we are taking a look at the GFS model, and as you can see, again, we're starting out in the upper Midwest, of course. We're only about 72 hours away from this storm starting out for these regions. So as you can see, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, we're very confident you're going to see moderate snowfall for those regions. That's at about 2 a.m. on Sunday, January 24th. As you can see, by the time we reach about 3 p.m. there on Monday, January 25th, you can see we have reached that phase where we're seeing that second system come through. We're seeing that elongated from Kansas in through Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and even in through portions of the mid-Atlantic as well. Mostly freezing rain going on, but there is some blues in there indicating some snowfall as well. Let's just take this to about 7 a.m. there on Tuesday, January 26th. And as you can see, this becomes mostly a mid-Atlantic snowstorm here, including the Ohio Valley as well, though. Indiana, Ohio, in through Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey. It's going to be a messy storm for some of those southern regions according to this model. But this is much further south still than the European model. The European model is the furthest north out of any of them. The GFS is kind of the middleman here. And then, as you can see, this is the one we're going to be talking about on our Patreon page. It moves in by about maybe late on the 27th, early on the 28th there. You can see that we see a big trough move into the eastern United States, and a storm begins to develop there for the southeast. Let's take a look at that next frame and take a look at that by Thursday, late morning, 11 a.m. or so. Take a look at that. This is a classic storm track, actually. I live in southeastern Virginia. I've seen this many, many times over the past 10 years. We've probably had about 5 storms in the past 10 years that have taken a similar track to this. So this is a common track. I am buying into this a little bit. After this storm we're talking about in this video, we're going to start making videos about this storm if it still happens to look like it's going to happen. If I was to make a confidence scale for this storm that we're taking a look at right now, I would say it's probably a 1 out of 6 on my scale. It's so far out, we've only seen a few runs showing it, but that confidence is going to go up. And again, after this storm we're talking about in this video is all said and done, this is the next storm I have in my sights that I'm going to be talking about next. So stay tuned for that. If you want some early guidance on that, be sure to check out the Patreon page. We are going to be making posts about that for the coming days. Now, what we're going to do here is move on, take a look at that Canadian model, and then we're going to get into other factors, including severe weather, freezing rain, total snowfall, things like that to close out the video. All right, now here we are taking a look at maybe about 4 a.m. there on Sunday, January 24th. So we're starting out with that upper Midwest snowfall here on that Canadian model. Again, same story as our other two models. Plenty of snowfall going on up there for the north central United States. And then again, just like the other models, by about maybe 10 p.m. here or 11 p.m. here on Monday, January 25th, you can see that storm gets elongated. We see snowfall going on from Kansas and through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, with mostly freezing rain there for those Ohio Valley states. So it is similar, but it's much further south than the other two models, actually. Let's just take this to about 7 p.m. there on Tuesday, January 26th. And as you can see, we close out with some mid-Atlantic snowfall going on, some moderate to heavy snowfall there for Maryland, Delaware, even in through New Jersey, and maybe even southeast from Pennsylvania there, as we're very zoomed in. But again, this is much further south than the other models we're showing, and I think I have reason to suspect that the European model is going to be right out of the 3. I'll talk about that in a moment, tell you guys why in just a moment. But here's that second snowstorm on the Canadian model as well. So you can see we do have support here from the Canadian model and the GFS model. The thing is, the European model does not show it at this point, only the GFS and the Canadian model, but all 3 ensemble models show it. So we're going to be making a huge post about that over on the Patreon page. But here we are by about 7 a.m. there on Thursday, January 28th. And as you can see, heavy snowfall for Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia. It's a little bit further north than the GFS, but it's generally a similar storm, especially here by 1 p.m. You can tell by 1 p.m. there on Thursday. It looks very similar to what the GFS was showing. So yeah, my confidence for how far away this is actually quite high. We're about 7 days away, and I'm feeling pretty good considering the range. So I think this is a legitimate chance, and I think I'm going to have to make videos about that moving forward. All right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at a few factors, including the severe weather, the total snowfall, and then even the freezing rain. And then we're going to get into my confidence scale. Be sure to stay tuned for that if you're questioning what are the odds of all of this happening. And then we're going to close out the video. All right, now here we are taking a look at that severe weather, and here is our surface-based CAPE, which stands for Convective Available Potential Energy, okay? And we're looking for higher amounts of this for thunderstorm development, and this is around the 25th. This is when that storm system is going to be moving through to the north. That's going to allow for some convection to occur to the south. We see 1,000 plus CAPE according to our European model for Texas, Arkansas, that's eventually going to move into Louisiana as well. This is sufficient for severe weather. We're going to have plenty of shear available as well. I'm not showing that in this video, but we are going to have plenty of shear as well. I'm watching for a pretty significant severe weather event. I'm thinking at least a slight chance. I wouldn't be surprised to see an enhanced risk at some point as well, maybe more potentially. It's very far out, but that's kind of how I feel. I think at least we will see a slight chance, probably on both days, probably Monday and Tuesday. But we'll have to wait and see for sure. Here's more towards about 11 p.m. there on Monday night, and as you can see, a lot of that CAPE has shifted eastward. You can see we have a pretty good amount there for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the Panhandle of Florida, and then a decent amount for Georgia and South Carolina. Let's get into that total snowfall now, and this is according to our European model. And as you can see, if you're anywhere in the grays, you're expecting a dusting, if anything. In the blues, we're taking a look at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. In the purples, 6 to 10. In the pinks, 10 to 20. And then in those pastel shades, we see tons of that going on for Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, and even upstate New York as well. That's where we're taking a look at about 20 inches plus potentially according to this model. We're going to watch for that closely. So remember in yesterday's video when I compared these models to their ensemble models and it really didn't line up good, and that was what was decreasing my confidence. Well, let's switch over to the ensemble model and look at how similar the location is now. They're completely congruent with each other. I feel really good about what the European model is calling for because its ensemble model is calling for the same location. The lower amounts is very typical on an ensemble model. We're not expecting to see 20 inches plus likely according to an ensemble model. That's not very common. So to see the location lined up is very good news that this model is onto something here. Now, as we take a zoomed in look at the central United States, I want you guys to be able to see the numbers on the screen. You can see plenty of 12 inches plus, even 20 inches plus there going on. And for the eastern United States, 12 to maybe 20 inches of snow there for upstate New York. Definitely lake enhanced at this point. Here's that GFS model as well, and as you can see, it's lighter with the amounts and much further south. We see some purples and some pinks, but a much less major snowstorm here. But let's take a look at its ensemble model. And the ensemble model says, no, it's probably going to be further north than what the GFS model is calling for. We saw a pretty big shift north as we switched from the GFS to the GFS ensemble model. So I think the GFS does have some room to shift further north. That's my thoughts as of right now. My confidence in the track isn't super high as is. So I'm not saying that's a guaranteed chance, but that's just my general thoughts based on what these models are calling for. Here's the central United States view for this one. You can see there's definitely some separation there. The first storm brings snowfall to South Dakota and through Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. The second one brings it more through Kansas and Missouri there. They're more separated than on the European model. Here's the Mid-Atlantic, and you can see we actually do get a pretty decent click of snow there for Pennsylvania, Maryland, Northern Virginia, West Virginia, potentially 12 inches plus still according to that model. Let's move on to our Canadian model, and as you can see, this is a bit further south as well, pretty similar to the GFS model, but once we take a look at its ensemble model, you can see, again, that ensemble model is much further north with the bullseye of the snowfall. All of them kind of agree with the European model, so I anticipate to see the GFS and the Canadian model actually trend north throughout the day today. That's my thoughts as of right now. It is possible they come south with the ensemble models coming south, but I really think that the deterministic models will follow suit with what the ensemble models are calling for. That's typically how it would go. But as always, we're going to be tracking the storm together over the coming days as new information comes out. You'll see my confidence scale, so I'm not perfectly confident yet in this storm either, but we're going to be taking a look at all of those things later on. Here is the freezing rain total. I just wanted to let you guys know because I'm calling for the potential chance for significant ice, and you guys are probably thinking, well, is it really going to be significant? And the answer is yes. The European model is calling for at least 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, with some 3/4 of an inch to an inch amounts in there in those deeper pinks, which is definitely a significant amount of ice for sure. We're going to be watching that as well over the coming days, so I will keep you guys updated on that. Let's get into my confidence scale real quick before we close out the video. I have upgraded from a 2 to a 3 on the confidence scale. Watching the European model come up and become congruent with its ensemble model has made me feel a lot more confident in what that one is calling for. So my confidence is on the rise, but it's still moderate to low, if anything. Tomorrow I expect to go up to a 4, and I also expect to release my first snowfall forecast map, my first hand-drawn map for this storm as well tomorrow. So lots of big updates coming up. I hope you guys are excited for it as we continue to unravel what this storm is going to end up doing for the United States. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, which regions do you think will see the most snowfall from this snowstorm? And James Marr said probably the Mid-Atlantic and southern New England. Nobody really said the upper Midwest. That's really where I think the most snowfall will be. Iowa in through Illinois and Wisconsin, even in through Michigan as well. But the second most would be probably the Mid-Atlantic and southern New England if that European model ends up being correct, which I do think will happen. So good comment of the day there. Anyway, for our patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis. Alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalesa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, Mark J., Luke Vallejo, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be on this Patreon end screen of the day, you could do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page, where you will also gain access to a ton of awesome posts like the one we're making today. You can join that in the comment or the pinned comment or the description down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.